You're listening to Mind Over Money, presented by Waymaker. Hey everyone, Lachy here from the team at Waymaker Finance, and I'm joined, as always, by Archie Franz. G'day Archie.
G'day Lachlan. G'day everyone.
Hey, today on the show we're talking about cash flow and why we need a good cash flow system that's gamified for success. I love this topic. Cash flow is the cornerstone of what we do in our advocacy program, and we start with cash flow when people join the Waymaker advocacy program. So I'm excited to get into today's conversation. Hey Archie, the first question I have is, why do we need a system for our cash flow?
Good question, Lachlan. So the first reason is our brains are lazy, and they're trying to conserve energy. I've seen quite a few different studies on this. A good example of this would be if you've ever studied, you'll find out how tired you get really quickly from studying. And, especially if it's study is not very much fun, within half an hour you're falling asleep.
Yeah, you can't see that long-term outcome. It's just focused on, now the survival. Why am I learning this information? Why are these calories being chewed up?
Yeah. So we need emotional resonance, which means that we've got to have a good reason behind what we're doing. That's the only way we can really engage our brain. And then we need some good emotions happening around this as well. Some good dopamine hits where we're getting some wins. Because every win we get, gives a dopamine hit in the brain. We need to care about what we're doing, and we need those dopamine hits. And often, for most of us around finances, that just doesn't happen. We don't like finances. It's confusing. We're not in a good place. We're not where we want to be. And so we have all this negative stuff happening. And the reason we want a good cash flow system, the first reason, is we want to move the brain into a better place and get our brain engaging.
Yeah, introduce some positivity. Yeah. We'll talk about gamification in a little bit. That's an important part of, like you said, that first point about the brain is lazy, doesn't care about those long-term outcomes. So we have to kind of trick our brain. And one of the ways we do that is through that gamification and creating that emotional resonance, those dopamine hits. But just having that positivity, introducing positivity back into our finances. Yeah, that is key. Yeah.
Yep. Let's call it a game changer. That's a really bad one. That's like a dad joke. So the other thing is, with what our brain's been doing, we need to create some good habits. So we're going to have to break some old habits, such as credit cards, buy now, pay later type stuff, just spending money to make ourselves feel good. Those sort of habits have to change. But the only way we can change those habits is to put something else in its place. And a cash flow system does that for us.
Yeah, so true.
The other good reason to have a cash flow system is we need clarity. Because when we got clarity around our finances, then it really improves our financial well-being. So that's who we are emotionally, as well as what's happening with our finances. And having good financial well-being, we just see people take off. That's what I notice after doing this for 35 years plus. Is you get those finances working, and people just grow and become so much better than what they were before.
It's like you freed up a whole new part of their brain, right? Because when you're stressed about the day-to-day cash flow, it just consumes all of that real estate, and your brain just shuts down. Creativity, joy, everything is just getting diminished by this stress, this lack of clarity. And that, I don't know what's going on, that whole feeling, and then it you feel it in your gut. I think listeners can resonate here. We've all had that. where we just don't know what's going on. We're not happy. And, someone comes to talk to us and we're like half paying attention because we're thinking about, something in the back of our head. And so a cash flow system just really frees that up.
Yeah. The other thing that we do is we'll attach ourselves to something and say, the only way for me to get ahead is property, or the only way for me to get ahead is, I've got to get a better job. And we're not actually paying attention to what's most critical. And again, we're back to the lazy brain, picking up something and saying, this is the way I'm going to get ahead. And we don't have that clarity to understand all the problems that are going to come with that. And so we're not making nice, clear choices. We're just pursuing something that we think is going to help us. And there's nothing worse than pursuing something you think is going to help you and then it doesn't and leaves you, with a mess. The clarity really helps us attack what we don't know and helps us to overcome any problems that we're having in our finances.
Yeah.
The other reason is when you see what's coming in and out on a daily basis is that we can make really good decisions. And especially if we're a couple, if you think about being a couple, you get that connection with each other. And so the financial cash flow system can really help solidify that connection you have and not push you away. Because, again, we need the dopamine. We need, the oxytocin happening that comes from having a good system, because it really helps solidify our relationship and helps us to, work together on things that we decide are really important together.
Yeah, and I think a lot of financial stress just comes from that lack of understanding with what's going on. Maybe one person's across it all and the other person isn't. But having a system where you can both see exactly what's going on and you can make decisions, you can have better conversations. So the conversation can be like, what will we, spend for this week on this versus what happened to all the money and you did this, and you start playing the blame game.
Yeah. Well, you get to celebrate the wins. Yeah. You move away from the blame game. Yeah. And you start to celebrate the wins. This really is the basic building block of financial freedom. And that's what we're all about at Waymaker, is helping people achieve financial freedom. And once you've got this cash flow system working, so much more can happen, and really simple strategies can go in place, with the support of other experts that will take you forward and, create financial freedom in 5 to 10 years. We don't have to wait 20, 30, 40 years to get financial freedom. It can happen really quickly as long as we've got the basics.
We'll be back in just a bit. All right. Okay, so another question. Okay, let's shift gears here now and talk a little bit about how the cash flow system works, and then we'll talk about banks and how we can gamify it. What's the overall kind of flow, the process of the system, the cash flow system that we have created and we use in our Waymaker advocacy program? How does it kind of work together? What's the kind of the flow of how money moves around the system?
Yeah, the key here of the process is being able to see everything in one place. So you want to be able to see when the money's coming in. You want to be able to see what bills you have. You want to be able to see all the money that you've allocated to your different goals, your different savings. And so, we've created a system whereby money can come into what we call the pay and bills account. And so that's where our income can come into. And we do find that if it's on a weekly basis, it can help us. Some people prefer fortnightly basis. Some people prefer monthly. It's just a matter of you figuring out which one's going to be best for you.
Yeah, and just as to add, we usually start that on a Tuesday just to avoid public holidays as well.
Yeah.
But again, you can tailor it based on when your income comes in. Yeah.
Yep. So we've got our income coming in, and then that income gets allocated into different parts of what we need to spend. So different parts of our cash flow. And what we use is 10 save goals, so 10 save accounts. And each of those accounts represents one particular thing. So there's groceries, car costs, medical costs, kids, hobbies, etc. Because we can think about all these things in these sort of categories. Most of our stuff will fit into 10 categories.
Yeah, cool.
And then, so we've got an allocation of money going each pay cycle. There's an allocation going into each of those accounts. From there, you've now got a very clear picture of how much money you've got, and you know exactly what your money is for.
That can be scary for some people to see the reality of, oh, I actually can only spend this much.
Oh, look, when we're seeing people move from using credit cards and buy now, pay later schemes, this is really hard for them because we're moving away from spending money we don't have to only spending money we do have.
Yeah.
And people say to me, I always pay off my credit card every month. I always pay off my after, buy now, pay later stuff. Why should I use this? Well, credit cards and buy now, pay later schemes, any form of debt is designed to get you to spend money you don't have. And it's designed to take over your money. So you're now working for them. You're not working for yourself. And there's no worse feeling than your money belongs to someone else.
Yeah.
So in this system, the money's yours, and the money is there in the different accounts ready for you, so that you can understand, what you've got to actually spend and work on.
And there's nothing better than the feeling of being able to send money to different places that you value. So allocate money to your goals, to purchases that you're saving for, or to be generous. And know that that is your money. You're working with reality. You're not pulling money from the future, which you don't have, and then, putting that out to different things. And then you've got that anxiety and tension of, well, actually, I don't really have that money to spend. So we find that it takes, this system can be set up in a day within one bank, but then to refine it and work it out can take a little bit longer. But we find with the end of that 3 months, people are so happy once they've got used to this, once they've got addicted to this new way of operating in this cash flow system. You just can't wipe the smiles off their face. They're just so much happier, so less stressed, because it really is. It's a whole new world of color. Life is just so much better with this system.
And generally, we move away from having $0 in the bank. Because if we're living from paycheck to paycheck, we've virtually got $0 in the bank, to having thousands of dollars in the bank.
Yeah.
And that becomes a buffer. It's an emergency buffer. We know we've got money to cover everything that can come at us. And, life is going to change. Things are going to happen. And this system allows you to adjust. That's the great part about it. It's on your phone. It's on, you're seeing it every day. And that's a real key to finances, is being able to see it all the time and think about it, but think about it in a positive way, because when you're thinking about it in a positive way, everything just starts working so much better.
Yeah.
And then all we got to do is transfer money between the different save goals across to the pay and bills account when we're paying for things. So if we go to the groceries and we do our grocery shopping, we're then going to transfer money from the grocery account into the pay bills account to pay for the groceries. So it's keeping you mindful of your money and what you're doing. Yeah.
And you can do this before or after the purchase. But the key is we need to be reconciling those purchases each day, or, in the evening before the sun goes down. Yeah. Yeah. So we're mindful of the purchases when we make it, and we're reconciling those purchases to make sure it is within our allocated funds.
Yep, that's it.
Cool. This system, it can be customized a little differently depending on what works for each couple or person, and also what bank you choose. And we do have a recommended bank that's been working really well. Members are loving this bank. We won't mention what bank, just because we don't recommend products. Speaking of banks, how does choosing a bank affect the system? Because sometimes we we get people say, well, why can't I just use the bank that I've got now? Why can't we use any bank for this cash flow system?
The key when we're setting up a cash flow system with people is to break the old system, to break that mindset that your brain is currently working in. And if you keep the same bank, it's very likely you're just going to keep doing the same things you've always done because the brain will stay there. So the whole reason we change banks and set up a new system is that we're telling the brain that we're definitely changing.
Yeah.
And we're forcing the brain to create new pathways and processing things very differently. And it's really quick. Like once you start using it, by the time you get 3 months down the track, you're just really good at it. It's, and it's taking a little bit to get used to it. So what we're needing banks that fit with our value of being financially free.
Yeah.
So if we think about banks, a lot of banks, have a very big focus on selling us debt products. And so if we're with those banks, it can be really hard for us to actually get that financial freedom because we're always being sold another debt product.
Yeah. We hear this often, and people say, oh, I got this home loan, I got this car loan, I got this insurance. And you ask why. It's like, well, I got this great deal with my bank because I'm a member, because I'm this or that.
Yeah.
We've started to realize that, there are certain banks that really do have a high frequency and focus on marketing these kind of products. And so not every bank is the same. That's the key point here. We do want to find banks, and we are always testing banks at Waymaker to see if they fit with those values, the values of our program and our members, which is financial freedom. And also the functionality and ease of use with the apps and tools.
Yeah. And we've been doing this for quite a while, so we know which banks have worked and which banks haven't worked as far as how clients have been able to implement the cash flow system. And, when people have stayed with their own bank because of whatever reason they think they need to stay with their bank, we haven't been able to achieve the results. And we find people just don't achieve that financial freedom.
Let's talk about gamification. Why do we want to gamify, and what do we want to gamify?
Yeah. So what we do want to gamify is savings for purchases. So if we look around our house, there's all these things in our house. There's furniture, there's knickknacks, there's clothing, all this stuff. Instead of going out and buying it with debt, and we got to recognize most things are sold with debt today. So instead of going out and buying it with debt, we want to save for it. And we want to be thinking about what are we actually saving for? And the results we see with people, you were talking before about the smiles on people's faces. Wow, this is one area where we see a lot of smiles, is that you save up for something, you purchase it because you're paying for it out of your own money and you're not using debt. You actually do a better job of buying something that you really want. Yeah. And you really appreciate what you have. And it's just a really great satisfaction, good dopamine happening. And even just seeing your savings grow is really good for the dopamine effect that comes through.
Yeah, it builds this excitement too when you get really close to purchasing it.
Yeah.
Cool. What else?
The next thing is saving for short-term goals like holidays. So, so many people say to us like, oh, we never get to go on a holiday because we don't have any money. And it's really just that they haven't allocated money for it. And so this system enables people to actually set up short-term goals, spend 3 months or 6 months saving for a holiday. And it's amazing how the whole system will help you to do that. And next thing you're on the holiday, and just had a client come back from a 2.5-month holiday in Europe. And they said to me, because of this cash flow system, they've been having the most amazing holidays for the last 5 years and have not had to worry about money ever since they put this system in place. And they were just over the moon at how good the system is to help them achieve their short-term goals.
So good.
So what we don't want to gamify, we don't want to gamify bills. So this is things like reward points, how we're buying things or paying for things on credit cards to get the reward points, because those reward points have been specially set up for you to use credit cards, for you to use debt and, to give you that buzz. So we don't want to gamify bills. We just want the bills to be what we want the bills to be, and we don't want anything to do with rewards.
Yeah.
The results we've been seeing with the cash flow system is we've been getting bills right down in costs, and we've got away from the whole reward point thing. And people are just doing so much better because of that. So like I've got clients there that we would be saving at least $10,000 a year on bills now because of this system and no longer chasing the rewards. And I tell you, $10,000 a year in your pocket is way better than some reward that gives you, $200 or something.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't want to gamify. The other one we don't want to gamify is groceries. And this one's a real classic. I can see when we're shopping and doing groceries, the difference in grocery costs can be more than double, especially if we start chasing specials, and rewards cards. So, certain companies are using rewards cards that you can only get the special price if you have the reward card. But again, they're gamifying the grocery purchase, and what they're doing is getting you to spend more money. And so, I can see one family spending $50,000 a year on groceries, and I can see another family spending $15,000 a year on groceries. That's the difference when it comes to what companies do to gamify things. And so we don't want to gamify the groceries because there's a massive amount of money involved there. The next one we don't want to gamify is repaying debt. Or what we want to do with debt is create automatic payments and get that debt paid off as fast as possible. And by automating it, we don't think about it. It just happens and it's gone. And it's amazing how fast that debt will disappear when you automate the payments of it. So that's where I see people get caught with credit cards and they're trying to pay that credit card off and they never seem to get it paid off. But as soon as you turn that credit card into being hidden and just, a set payment gets paid to it, and it's only like 1 year, 2 years, and it's gone. Yeah. But the thing is to hide it. You got to hide it.
Yeah, you can't keep using it.
Yep. The other thing we don't gamify is investing. So with investing, it's all about contributions, and so we just want those contributions set up and happening in the background. Again, we don't want to see it. We don't want to think about it. We just want it to happen.
Yeah, and these are long-term habits we're trying to build.
Yeah, that's it. So the gamification is really just around our daily purchases and our daily living expenses. That's the only one we want to gamify, and that's where we find it works really well.
As like an ending thought here before we wrap up, what would you encourage people thinking about setting up a cash flow system?
Well, what we think about is what we get. So when we talked before about like the type of bank we might go with, if that bank keeps getting you to think about debt, that's what you're going to get. And in this system here, we only want to think about what money we actually have, and we want to make sure that we have that money. And this system, this cash flow system is easy to set up, but we do find people need support. Because I've seen people try and set things up themselves. They've read books, they've done things, and it doesn't work because like we've got a tried and tested system. We know it works, but you just need that person to help you put it in place. Because again, our brain will try and stop us. And we've got to overcome. We've got to overcome that problem that the brain's creating. And once we do that, and we're thinking about our daily finances and having a great time, everything takes off. Hey, one more point. Often people ask us, what's the reward, for spending some money to get this system in place? What's the actual rewards? Well, we see people move ahead by anywhere between $10,000 and $60,000 a year when they put this cash flow system in place.
Yeah.
The reward is far greater. The financial reward that you guys get is far greater than anything you'll spend, to create the system and put the system in place. And so it's really well worthwhile doing.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good point. Having a cash flow system is the foundation to building wealth and achieving financial freedom. And sometimes we just need that accountability and support and encouragement along the way. And so that's what we provide through our Waymaker wealth advocacy program. So if you're thinking about setting up a cash flow, think about talking to our team. We'd love to meet you and help you set up a cash flow system. Well, it was a great conversation, Archie. We'll talk again about cash flow, no doubt, in the coming weeks. This is going to be a great topic to keep exploring. But until then, guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to Mind Over Money.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
All right, before we go, just a quick disclaimer that everything we discussed today is for education purposes only. We do not consider your personal financial goals or situation. If you'd like to speak to someone about your financial situation, head over to the waymakerpodcast.com.au and we'll connect you with a qualified advisor. There's a link in the show note. That's the same link you can use to connect with our Waymaker team. Thanks for listening to Mind Over Money. We hope you have a fantastic day.